Hello, and welcome to the 2023 New York Academy of Art Commencement Ceremony. First, I want to thank the brass band for that spirited march from the Academy. It's always, for me, one of the most heartwarming moments. People come out from all the stores and all the bars. You guys are awesome every year. It's my profound privilege to introduce the first speaker of the day, Dr. Eileen Guggenheim, who with her husband Russell Wilkinson are the heart and soul of the school, and I can honestly say the school would not exist without them. Please welcome Eileen.
Well, I get to be the first to say congratulations to the great class of 2023. Your work speaks for itself, and it speaks of incredibly hard work. It speaks of sometimes tears, sometimes anger, sometimes frustration, but you all persevered and you all completed the course of a curriculum that I always thought was a lot like rocket science. So the one thing that we all know is that you did not do it on your own. So with that, I'd like to ask the great class of 2023 to please rise and turn around in your seats. Now, there may be some applause here, and so I would ask that you not stop applauding. Okay, first of all, we want to thank the parents of the great class of 2023. Would you please rise, the parents, and stay standing? Now, please stay standing. Everybody stay standing. Now, how about the spouses and partners of the class of 2023? How about the children of the class of 2023? Any children? How about grandparents, the grandparents of the class of 2023? Please rise. Aunts and uncles and cousins. Anybody else? Friends who have generally supported this class. All right, we thank you all for your wonderful support of these artists. Thank you.
Our next speaker is an alum of the Academy and the president too. Please welcome David Kratz.
We're here today to celebrate you, the class of 2023. And I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for the work you've done. The final critiques were a gift, and I'm so grateful for those 3 days. It was like Christmas. Each presentation was a gift to unwrap, admire, analyze, consider, and from every angle and every perspective. Each was filled with the delight of discovery. Each was a catalyst for conversation. Each was an opportunity for opinion and critical comment, and sometimes even argument. Each an example of what we do at the school and why we do it. My point exactly. They were gifts that expanded all of our worlds, each a facet of the jewel that is the Academy, each a voice in the chorus of our achievement, and I was grateful for all of them. It was one of those experiences that makes the journey that we've all been on seem worth it, and I thank everyone who was involved in your education. The faculty who nurtured you and guided you during these past 2 years, the staff who created the environment in which it could exist and staged the events that brought the outside world in to see your work, and the board that serves as the foundation upon which we upon which the school is built. Suddenly my words got more important here, didn't they? Wow. The artists in our community, I want to thank them too, the ones who turn out all the time to support and share our mission. And the collectors and the patrons who validate what we do by experiencing it with us and sometimes even acquiring your work. I'm grateful for each and every one of them. And you know what else I'm grateful for? I'm grateful to know that you now have a sense and awareness of what you can do. You're at the beginning of your creative careers, but seeing your work gave me assurance that you were ready to leave the school and the safe and supportive atmosphere that it provided, that you've begun to know yourself as an artist, and that you've earned the right to perceive yourself that way by virtue of all the work you put into it. So now you take your status as an artist with you when you go. I think there's no higher calling. You also take a network of friends and colleagues who will support you, challenge you, inspire you, and be there for you. I think there's no greater comfort. As I said, I'm grateful for all of it. The work you showed, the artists that you've become, the people in our community who supported you along the way, the fact that an institution like this even exists. Together, as a community, we are a beacon of hope and a beacon of creativity in a world that desperately needs it. And you, through your work, are the light that shines from that beacon. Thank you. I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our student speaker, Bo Prather.
Hello, everybody. Could we get a round of applause for my classmates, class of 2023? And now everyone just cheer for Peter so he blushes. All right. Today I'm gonna tell a story, and then that story has a purpose, and then I'm gonna give you guys all a gift at the end of this. So here's a story from this past semester. I bought one of the biggest canvases I had ever worked on, and I had to keep painting over it because I was not satisfied. I made the whole thing completely yellow so I could have yet another fresh start, and I brought it up to an empty classroom on the 5th floor. I set up the canvas against the wall and ran back downstairs to get my paint. While downstairs, I see my friend, Jane, and she lets me know that she's going up to paint in the same room as me because all the other ones are taken. I immediately start internally panicking. Oh no, I haven't even started this painting, and I don't know how I'm gonna start this painting, and now I have to work across from Jane. And you might be thinking, does Bo hate Jane? It's the opposite. I love Jane, and I think Jane is an incredible painter, and she's inspired me so much throughout these past 2 years, and so that is why I was fearful. You see, Jane is great, but how on earth am I going to start this painting from scratch with her right there? I stood in the room looking at the wall with my canvas, knowing Jane was working on the opposite wall behind me. I stood there and I thought about my situation. I was facing an unexpected wave of anxiety. I have nothing but love for Jane, except now I'm nervous. Now I'm comparing myself, and I'm overly aware of these things, so I won't be able to focus. I remember thinking that if I do start this painting, it's going to be awful because I'm too in my head now and it will just be embarrassing. As I was spiraling, I caught myself. Suddenly, I pulled a Uno reverse card on myself. Yes, I took all that intense spiraling anxiety energy and I reversed it in a genuine way. And let me tell you how. I got real with myself and I said in my head, wow, here I am getting to work in the same room as someone who inspires me so much, and I'm letting that have a negative impact on me. I began to realize the absurdity of my negative attitude and how In reality, I can use the fact that I get to work in the same room as Jane as motivation. This was a snap decision, and I immediately felt a complete shift in my energy. This heavy confusion of feelings converted into a lightness that allowed me to begin my work with ease, as if I regained my confidence, a confidence which had been put in jeopardy and at no one's fault but my own. If there are two sides to every coin and I have the option, then I'd rather be on the side that feels good. It's pretty simple. This was a funny experience because to Jane, I was simply standing there with my headphones on, staring at the canvas. But in my head, I had gone out to have breakfast at Epiphany's and came back all in about 5 minutes. After all these refreshing undoings and helpful changes of heart within myself, I ended up painting something that I love. So Jane working in there at the same time was the biggest possible blessing because it allowed me to overcome an internal battle that turned out to have a much simpler resolve than I made it out to be in my head. I had spiraled, and thank God I caught myself, because now in reality, this simple shift in mindset fueled me. This shift not only kept me going, but even gave me an extra push. And that shift in mindset was not just for that night of painting, but something that I've kept with me. It was priceless information that I could have only gained through experience, and I'm now sharing with you all. I tell this story because I think it has a lot of value for anyone, and especially for artists. I want to remind everyone that so much of the way in which we've grown to think can change. Our belief or disbelief in our ability to change is often the deciding factor as to whether or not the change will actually take place. Another good example of this would be this very speech. The other day, I was thinking about this speech, and I began down the rabbit hole of, I'm not meant to be up here, someone else might do better, and what if I don't do a good job, and what if, and what if, and what if? And then I remembered, Uno reverse card. I flipped it all right then and there, and I thought, no, I'm meant to be up here right now giving this speech, because this is who I am, and this is exactly what I should be doing. So as a gift to everyone in this room, especially you guys, but everyone, you now have an infinite supply of Uno reverse cards. And if you look under your seats, no, I'm just kidding. And think outside the box about how to use them. We may be surprised about some of the corners which we've thought ourselves into. Identifying what to change starts with your gut. Be aware of how you feel about things. As we get more and more into our strange future, check in with your gut. It may be the current of masses or certain others who surround you are flowing in a direction that you don't like. So listen to your gut. As we are pushed and pulled in many directions, it is important that we check in with our center. And as an artist, do not lose one's own voice in the sea of noise. So, use these Uno reverse cards when you please. You might find something and think, whoa, I've been doing that my entire life, and now I see it. And I don't want it anymore. Well, Uno reverse it. I'm a firm believer that we can radically recondition our minds to free ourselves from unwanted, unconscious patterns or ways of thinking if we simply believe. My dad said to me every night when I went to bed growing up, believe in yourself. And he'll still say it to me now when I see him and talk with him. And now I'm telling you all to believe in yourself. And remember this, we can change ourselves for the better if we really believe in this. And this, in turn, will change our outside world. And remember this too, just because something is does not mean it has to stay being that way. My final advice, without being too specific, is change your life, because it's going to change, so don't resist it. Do the things that you desire. I had a very good friend tell me once that if you don't change, you will still change, but in ways that you did not intend. So get comfortable, but don't ever get too comfortable because there's a great discomfort in being too comfortable. So change and do so in ways that are preferable to you because this life is your life. So thank you.
Bo, honestly, I have always wanted an Uno reverse card and really needed an infinite supply, so I'm so delighted. Thank you. That was one of the best student speeches I've heard in my time. It was wonderful. Thank you. We're long on Bo's today. Our speaker today is Bo Bartlett. He's an American realist with a modernist vision. He's also a great friend of the Academy. I don't really like those intros where they go through a long list of shows that the person has had or the institutions that they're at or the galleries that show them. So I will instead today tell you why we asked him to be our speaker. Bo has spent his life, as far as I can tell, as a narrative and figurative painter. And he started about the same time the Academy started and when the school was being formed. In other words, he started way before the kind of work we do was in vogue or on trend or even not scoffed on in the art world. But he stuck to it, and he made an incredible body of work. He started at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Art, and then some years later, he was recognized with a Pew Award, which he credits as being a moment of validation that allowed him the freedom to pursue life as an artist. And he has built his life around that goal ever since. Now, he's a widely recognized painter and also a filmmaker. He does documentaries, and he's on his second feature film along with his wife, who is here today, also an incredible painter, Betsy Eby. Betsy, raise your hand, please. Oh, by the way, he also has a weekly radio show. As all the rest of that wasn't enough, called Art House. When I was working on Tribeca Ball this year, I had an opportunity to go down to the Bo Bartlett Center at the Columbus State University in Columbus, Georgia. Yeah, there's a Bo Bartlett Center. That's something to aspire to. It is a soaring and beautiful exhibition space that was showing a retrospective at the time of his work. And in kind of a full circle moment, I saw one of the paintings that was a family portrait he had done, in which he had painted himself as a black man in the midst of his nuclear white family. The full circle moment was that Amy Sherald, who was our honoree at the Tribeca Ball this year, told me later that when she saw this painting in a museum, she was 9 years old on a school field trip. And she said it was the first time she'd ever seen a black person portrayed in a painting or in a museum setting. And she also said it was that painting that made her believe she could be a painter. I love this cycle of painters influencing painters and artists influencing artists, of being in dialogue with one another. And I love how the conversation continues. To me, it's exactly what happens at the school every day, all year. By the way, I definitely recommend a visit to the Bo Bartlett Art Center. And if you're lucky and you get invited into the studios of him and his wife, Betsy, you will be seeing something gorgeous. They're incredible spaces with incredible work and a real inspiration. Both of them are beautiful examples of lives lived in total dedication to art. Bo, come on up here.
Thank you, David. Thanks, Eileen. Thank you. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, faculty. Thanks, Academy. And thanks to you guys for being here. Congratulations. We are where we are because of the roads we have taken. Today we're at a crossroads. Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the road less traveled, and that has made all the difference. I had a friend in Pennsylvania, a good friend of mine, that used to say, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I sat down. Decisions are hard sometimes. Decision making is hard. But what I want to encourage you today, with my presence here is to encourage you to keep on going. Don't sit down. Keep on going now that you're at this crossroads. When I was a kid, growing up in Georgia, my family didn't know much about art. They were Southern Baptists, traditional, very traditional. But I'd wake up early on Saturday mornings when I was a kid. I'd wake up on beautiful days, spring days much like this, and I'd walk out into my backyard barefoot in my shorts, and I'd go and I'd stand on the grass. The dew point had made the grass wet, and I'd stand there in my bare feet, and the sun would be streaming through the cherry laurels, and the birds would be chirping, and I'd be fully alive in the moment. On Sunday mornings, my parents would take me to church, and I'd sit and draw. You know, they had those little envelopes or those little bulletins, and I'd get the little short, stubby pencils with no eraser, with the church's name stamped on it, and I would just draw. I'd usually draw the story that the preacher was telling. I actually wanted to be a preacher for a while, but I realized there were way too many things I wanted to do, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite, so I opted not to do that. But one of the stories I remember most, I'll tell you this story I remember most, it's one of my favorites, and I've actually done paintings of it since, and it's the painting of Jonah, the story of Jonah. Jonah was just a normal person, just like us, just a normal person. But one day, he was living in Joppa, down by the beach, down by the water. And one day, the divine thumped him on the head and said, go to Nineveh and preach and save the city. Well, Jonah, being a normal person, was like, I'm good. Went down to the harbor and got on a boat going as far as he could in the other direction, toward Tarsus. Seemed like a good escape. Didn't have to do that. God provided. God always provides in this story. God provides the winds, strong winds, that rock the boat and create high seas. Jonah's down underneath, stowawayed, and the sailors come down and they find him, and they pull him up, and they say, you know, this must be you because you're the only person here we don't know, and you've done something wrong. And they want him to walk the plank, or they want to hang him from the sail. But he jumps overboard instead. He jumps overboard. He says, I got this. He jumps overboard and sinks down to the bottom of the Mediterranean. The water is calm instantly, and the guys all on the boat are like, yeah, he must have been the problem. He's down there. God provides. A whale trolling for krill with its baleen opening and closing. And all of a sudden, Jonah gets sucked into the whale. Somewhere between the mouth and the throat and the esophagus and the belly, he's stuck in there somewhere. The second chapter is a wonderful chapter where Jonah's just saying, thank you, I had a good life. Not saying why me or why did I die in this weird situation, but like, thanks, it was a good life. I appreciate that. God provides the gag reflex in the whale, and the whale coughs him up on the beach, on the shore. Jonah's standing out there on the beach, shaking like a wet dog, shaking the whale yak off of him. Says, I'll go to Nineveh now. That's usually where the story sort of ends. That's where you usually hear the end of the story. But that's actually when it just starts to get interesting. Because he goes to Nineveh, normal guy, and he says, stands out on the street corner with nothing but like whale yak clothes on, and says, change your ways. He doesn't know what to say, really. Change your ways. Stop being lewd. Care for your brother. Stuff like that. He's saying all this stuff, just standing on the street corner like a street corner preacher, like a homeless guy just yelling. Well, there's this litter that comes by. A litter is one of those things that like special people get carried in. It's golden. Inside is the mayor of Nineveh, And she hears him preaching, and she opens the curtain, the teal velvet curtain, and she listens. And he's saying, put on sackcloth, change your ways, stop being capitalist pigs. And she says, this is a pretty good idea. So she sets out a decree. Back then, mayors could set out decrees. And a decree meant that everybody had to do what she said. So they all put on burlap bags. Everybody looked the same. You couldn't tell who was rich and who wasn't rich. They had to be nice to their neighbor. They fasted, they prayed, and holy smokes, before long, the city was saved. Jonah had done his job. He goes out to the edge of the city, outside the gates, sits down on a cardboard box, sitting there. You know, I did my job. City's saved, feeling pretty good. But God provides. The sun starts pouring down, middle of the day. Sun starts pouring down on his head, and he's suddenly like, okay, now why me? I did what I was supposed to do, but now I'm all hot and miserable. Well, God provides this like kudzu type plant, like an elephant tree plant, to grow up over his head and give him shade. And then suddenly he's happy again. Oh, now that's better. Now we're talking. Shade, thanks, I'll take it. Well, God keeps on providing, provides a caterpillar that crawls up the vine and starts eating holes in the elephant tree plant kudzu leaf, and the sun starts pouring through again, and he gets mad finally. He's like, that's it. Okay, I did what I was supposed to do. I came here all the way to Nineveh to save the city, and I get this, nothing. I got nothing. Whale yak clothes and nothing, and cardboard, piece of cardboard. So he looks up at the sky and says, why me? And for the second time, God speaks in the story, and God looks down and says, this didn't have anything to do with you. I just wanted to save the city. What that story is about, to me, is that we have to get over our egos. We have to start thinking holistically. We have to start thinking about the whole thing in every action we take. It's not about us. Joseph Campbell said that the artists are the prophets. We are the prophets, and it comes with a certain amount of responsibility. As of today, you will have your artistic license. You will begin your artistic journey. I had a teacher at the Pennsylvania Academy, Morris Blackburn, and he would always say, art is like life. It's like taking a trip. You have to know where you're going and know how to get there. Now, I know that as teachers, our teachers are going to tell us, no, it's all about process. Don't worry about outcome. Don't worry about product. And that's true to a point. But it's also about destination. It's also about where you are headed. We're here today because of perseverance. You're here because you persevered. You don't learn to make art like you don't learn to drive a car. Okay? You don't learn to drive a car just to prove how well you can do it. Where you sort of drive around the block. Look how well I can drive. Waving to your mom on the front porch. Hi, Mom. Look how well I can drive. No, you learn to drive so you can go somewhere. The whole point of learning to drive is to go somewhere. Destination. Same is true with where you have been in your learning process. I'm going to give you a few short pieces of advice to send you off, and they start with this. Short-term and long-term goals. You have to have short-term goals and long-term goals. The short-term goals should take you in the direction of your long-term goals. Short-term goals can be, so long-term goals would be get a show at the Metropolitan Museum. Long-term goal. You like it? Yeah, okay. Aim high, because gravity is going to pull it down. Short-term goals are everything it takes to get there. And your long-term goals can be whatever. It's up to you. I'm just using that as my example. Long-term goals. Short-term goals, get out. Get a studio. Paint every day. Work toward a show. And it could be a show in a coffee shop, or independent space, a pop-up space. Get a gallery eventually. Sell work. The long-term goal could be financial independence. A house by the water. But all the short-term goals need to lead in the same direction as your long-term goals. More advice. Be nice. In 1988, I got with my first gallery in New York, PPOW, and showed with them for 20 years. At some point later on along the way, I asked the gallery owner, Wendy, I said, Wendy, why did you decide to show me? And she said, well, to be honest, you were nice. That might not still work, but it's certainly worth a try. Be nice. Second, mind your business. I was in Pennsylvania painting one time, and I was painting in my studio. The phone rings, and I pick it up, and on the other end is Mike Nichols, the producer. He says, oh, hey, Bo, I'm here in the back seat of this limo with Steve Martin, and he tells me I should get one of your paintings. And I say, cool. And he says, can I buy one? I say, yeah. I hang up the phone, and I keep on painting. He never bought a painting. I never called him back. Call people back. Habits. Mind your daily habits. So much of your life is going to be determined by your daily habits. They add up. They all add up. I tell my students there's the 10 do's. The 10 do's, 10 things I do every day. These are my daily practices. First and foremost, hydrate. Drink a gallon of water a day if you can. Eat right. Number 2, eat right. Well-balanced meals. If you're hungry, you're going to be crabby, and you're not going to be focused. Eat right. 3, be physical. Exercise, walk, or play a sport regularly. You got to get the blood circulating through your body for your brain to be on thinking right and for your heart to be thumping right. Study. Learn all you can about your primary interests. Make some money. Work. Be responsible. Not greedy, but you have to eat and you have to pay the rent. Make art every day. Believe in it, develop it, and enjoy it. Meditate or pray. Find and practice a spiritual discipline. Sleep 8 hours a night if you can. You got to regenerate. You got to dream. So many great ideas come from dreams. So sleep. Know thyself. Be clear. Right. Decide when an issue is yours or when it's somebody else's. Bo was right. Believe in yourself. How do you believe in yourself? How do you start to believe in yourself? You believe in yourself by doing the work. Because if you do the work, then you will have the product to say, this is decent. I have done the work. I believe in myself because I've created the work. Sir Joshua Reynolds said, nothing is denied to well-directed labor, and nothing is achieved without it. Believe in your whole self, not just the self you want to present to people on Instagram, not just this face you want to show to other people. Believe in your whole self, believe in the good part of you, and believe in the shadow side, believe in the bad part of you. Believe in your insecurities, believe in your vulnerabilities. Your whole self. Robertson Davies said, let your root feed your crown. And what that means to me is let your root, which is like your roots that go down into the ground, that are dig down for the nutrients in the soil, be like, it's like every experience you've ever had. It's your DNA, it's your family. Let that be the thing that comes through your trunk, through your body, up into your foliage, into your fruit, the manifestation of what you show to the world, your work. Let everything you are, your family, your DNA, your experiences, come through you and be the thing that you share with the world. Let your root feed your crown. A kid growing up in Georgia looking at the grasses in the late afternoon, the sunlight coming across the Chattahoochee River, across Alabama, watching the grasses sway, is going to be a very different person, have a very different temperament, someone that's riding a train from the Bronx watching graffiti move along the side outside the window. One experience is not more valid than another. They're all equally valid. All stories must be told. You are original just by being yourself. So tell your story clearly and succinctly and honestly, and begin it now. In the end, the purpose of art is to wake us up. The long-term purpose of art is to wake us up to something larger than ourselves. My friend Susie Goblick wrote in The Reenchantment of Art about Julia Butterfly. Julia Butterfly was an artist, a performance artist, that sat in the top of the redwood trees out in the great Northwest to keep the loggers from cutting the trees down. That was her art act. Joseph Campbell said, "Who does the Grail serve?" So in that spirit, I ask you, I challenge you, what does the world need? What does the world need to see? Art must wake us up to ourselves and to one another. And when we awaken, may we find that we are standing in our own backyards with the dew on the grass and our bare feet, fully alive. My friend Andrew Wyeth said to me, the last words he ever said to me as we parted, "Keep yourself free." That's my mantra. I remember it and say it to myself every day. Keep yourself free. Two roads diverge today. You have decisions to make. Where are you going? Don't sit down. Keep moving. And now, by the power invested in me by the New York Academy, I do hereby bestow upon you your artistic license. You are now free. Now, go and use it. Lightspeed.
Thank you, Bo. That was really beautiful. I especially like the hydration part of it. I think we're all feeling a little dehydrated. Before I announce the special awards, I wanted to just mention something to the class of 2023. I've heard this from every faculty member, and I've heard this from every staff member. You are one of the most beloved classes that we've ever produced. So it's been a joy to work with you. The Academy is fortunate to have the support of its patrons and trustees, which makes it possible to give much needed student scholarships. We also have the generosity of so many of our artistic community, including museums, art supply stores, and foundations reflected in our commencement awards. The Academy is pleased to continue its partnership with the Chubb Insurance as the title sponsor of the fellowship program. The Academy awards the Chubb Postgraduate Fellowship to outstanding individuals based on the quality of work, potential for growth, and commitment to the Academy community. The fellowship allows these artists to spend one postgraduate year in residence at the Academy. This year, we are thrilled to announce that thanks to the generosity of board member Sharon Jacob, an additional fellowship will be offered. The 2024 fellowships are granted to Claudio Cicchetti, Jane Phillips, both graduates of the class of 2023, and Laura Romaine and Kylie Snow as alumni from the class of 2022. Please award them. Ron, you're up. You're up.
We will now confer the Masters of Fine Arts degrees. Jordan Acosta. Antonia Barra. Ava Bramlett. Laurel Bach. Hope Buzzelli. Miriam Woodwell Carruthers. Claudio Cicchetti. Olivia Chigas. Jenny Lula Chala. Jiwoo Choi. Elena Coverly. Todd Kramer. Cheyenne Earp. Marisha Falkovich. Lauren Faulkner. Stephen Gay. Renee Gircic Djokovic. Lingui. Jonathan Harmon. Manuel Hernandez Sanchez. Alexander Ray Hewitt. Jackson Hill. Congratulations. Sofia Kuzmina. Kenna Lamore. Rin Lee. Carla Leo. Yiting Lu. Yanchin Lo. Kirabel Mandefro. Congratulations. Nori Morimoto. Alexia Papavasilakis. Jay Peterzell. Jane Phillips. Haley Pashota. Terry Denise Plater. Lucy K. Plow. Bo Prather. Joshua E. Ramos. Keith Ream. Michaela Josephine Antoinette Roman. Stefania Salas Bruins. Dr. Barbara Sharp. Darlene Thevenin. Sleal Samet. Chinedu Victor Uyelunmo.
We will now confer the honorary doctorate degree. Bo Bartlett, having reinvigorated figurative and representational art by reimagining complex contemporary history painting, has been recommended by the faculty and trustees of the Academy and is hereby granted the honorary degree of Doctor of Fine Arts. There you go. Well, Lauren, I've been a fan of yours for so many years, and it's just beautiful to have you be a part of this ceremony.
All right, the moment of truth. Will all the graduates please stand? By the authority vested in me by the New York State Board of Regents, the National Association of Schools of Art and Design, the Middle States Commission on Higher Education, and the Board of Trustees of the New York Academy of Art, I declare you graduates of the Master of Fine Arts program of the New York Academy of Art, entitling you to all the rights and privileges pertaining to your degree. Congratulations.